In the heart of Buffalo, New York, one family has created a refuge for neighborhood children and youth trying to escape the violence and pain of inner-city life. For the past 10 years, Dina and Ray Chazinski have sacrificed enormous amounts of resources and time to provide a fun, safe, and loving environment that's as good for the body as it is for the soul. Throughout the year, they host pool parties, cookouts, and arts and crafts workshops. But the most important work is done here.
Helpfulness.
In classes, where youth develop the means to attack day-to-day problems with spiritual solutions. The activities have become so popular that the Chazinskis had to buy an additional house next door to accommodate the growing number of parents, teenagers, and children.
Initially, this project started by one person and then as an individual initiative. And then, we saw more and more the community getting involved. And currently, this project is being supported by all individuals and assemblies and groups and community on Western New York.
Hey, Dina!
Is your mom home?
Yeah.
Okay, can I talk to her?
Hold on.
The Chazinskis live in a community that suffers the devastating effects of violence, poverty, racial polarity, and broken families. Years ago, the Chazinskis considered moving, but at the time, it was impossible.
I said, we're not moving out of the neighborhood because it's not within our means to move out of the neighborhood and get a different house. I says, if you want to change, you're going to have to make the change, I says, in the neighborhood.
My father told us, if you don't like the way it is, you got to change it. You can't just sit back and watch it. So we had to figure out a way to change it. And then my mom, she started praying and praying. She's like, we're not going to move. What are we going to do? So she's praying and praying, how am I going to live in this world?
The next day I come home and there's 30 kids in my living room having a discussion about the struggles they're having with life.
Dina was pursuing the idea that she and Ray had dreamed up back when they were teenagers. They began working to create a safe haven for young people in distress.
I know for me that I don't have the challenges that maybe some other people have with relating to them because I have similarities, that I've come from a wonderful, nurturing Baha'i family, and at the same time, the truth was that there was a lot of dysfunction, and there was a lot of unhealthiness, and I was extremely affected by it. And so I've played out a lot of the rage, and self-destructive behaviors. So, I listen to kids that cry.
Damian Martinez is one of the youth who had been living with the Chazinskis off and on over the past year.
She knows what it's like, She has been there, done that, so she really knows that, she proves to you that you can actually become somebody. You don't have to become negative like your environment. You really could become somebody.
A lot of these kids are facing a lot of real issues at home, and whether it has to do with physical abuse or sexual abuse, or it has to do with a lot of alcoholism, a lot of racism.
At this time, the Chazinski family was estranged from the Baha'i community and practicing their faith in isolation.
Sometimes I would do a lot of work with the kids, and there's a lot of sacrifice, for myself and my family that comes into that. And so I really was going through a lot of turmoil with wondering is this sacrifice worth it? Does it really make a difference? What direction should I be going in? And I really cried and really struggled with whether I should stay here and whether I should be doing this.
According to Dina, it was the power of prayer that gave them the strength to rise above their own sense of alienation and seek the support of the Baha'is. She felt the best place to begin was Baha'i Sunday School.
When the whole thing started, I probably came out of nowhere and started bringing large amounts of kids to Baha'i school. I would say the first year I was pretty steadily bringing about 30 kids to Baha'i school every Sunday.
I think that the Baha'i community was a little bit shocked when we started bringing a lot of the inner city kids over to Baha'i school, because it was mostly suburban Baha'is who ran the Baha'i school and attended. And me and Dina felt it was very important to expose, hey, In the one prayer, the Bab says, you know, all the peoples, let all the peoples of the earth learn about this great cause of Baha'u'llah.
High school and workshops and all that, it helped me see who I was, and I had good qualities, and I wasn't just some poor kid living in the ghetto.
And I can't remember who it was. They started talking about the Baha'i faith, and then I was like, what? And then I think it was either Jared or Elijah that started talking. And then Elijah took me to the side and told me about it and gave me all these pamphlets and stuff. Then I took them home and read them. Then just kept coming back.
Well, what attracted me most to the Baha'i faith was the equality of men and women, and that all religions, you know, they're just from the same God, they just call them by different names, and that's what attracted me.
Soon, the youth were taking road trips to New Helen, Green Acre, and youth conferences. The Chazinski house was full, morning, noon, and night. The steadily increasing numbers pushed the family to even higher levels of service.
We got this pool about 6-7 years ago, and it was at a point in our life when we paid our mortgage off, and we thought about maybe, well, should we move, go to a better area, because we live in a very low income area. We made the decision that we wanted to stay here, and so we decided to, instead of moving, to take some money that we had and to put it into getting this pool, and that it would be a way of serving the community.
O my God, unite the hearts of thy servants and reveal to them thy great purpose. May they follow thy commandments and abide in thy law.
At some point, you're going to want to look over the virtues, and I forgot to bring the poster out, but everyone has one of these in your packet, okay?
When you respect others people's property, they are more likely to respect yours. When you treat yourself with respect, others respect you too.
If you go around without modesty, people see what you're doing and they're like, oh, well, I can do whatever to her because she doesn't care, she doesn't respect herself enough to dress in a way, you know, it just depends. Your actions really convey if you respect yourself.
Believe me, I never ever thought in my life that the kids that come from hardcore backgrounds that have the self-destructive behaviors playing out would sit around and try to help each other read the prayers, and I have to say, I was really amazed.
Kids that came here and like they were like, oh, all racial slurs coming out of their mouth, every other word, and like just cursing, and their whole entire attitude. Like they're still the same person, they just had this in them all along, and all of a sudden you see it come out and all this other like stuff that they learned from the outside world or their family or whatever, it's just gone, and then you see them, they're shining and they're bright, and it's like, wow. And it was wonderful to see that, but at the same time, our whole house was like completely overtaken.
Increasing popularity led them to purchase the abandoned house next door. Now the Chazinskis have 2 houses for meetings, transient youth, and neighborhood family activities.
What I know about the program, I learned from my children.
Have I in heaven but thee.
When they would come down and visit and come back home, they always talked about Dina and what they learned. I'm like, what is a Baha? I'm pronouncing it right, Baha? And I'm like, what is it? I don't know. You know, I never heard of it. It's like people, when they never hear of something, they have a perspective of it, and it don't even be what you think it is. And that's what it was, why I came for myself to find out. I want to do something that's good for the family, you know, to keep us all together in one knit, happy home.
The Chazinskis have taken the family concept and broadened it to include the entire neighborhood. All the children of this neighborhood are Dina and Ray's children, regardless of their background. They have also provided the Baha'i community with an example of what a family is and what a family can do, and how people through personal initiative and through the initiative of the entire family can make a difference in an entire community.
I was the first one to come in contact with him. After he hit me, first thing I thought about was grabbing Elijah because she was behind me, and I didn't want her to get hit.
And as Tyrone was pushing me out of the way, I looked in his eyes, and he just looked like he was gonna kill it. It wasn't even the fact of him killing us. It was just amazing that somebody could have so much hatred that you didn't know. They didn't know you, just they had hatred for you for being well, because I'm white, because I was walking with black people.
When I went to go run, he snatched me up by the neck and he was punching me in the back with something. And I have something, fractured spine or something like that, I don't know. I forgot what it was.
And then I heard, right here, it said, nigger lover, what are you doing with these niggers? And I turned around, and I seen JR. I seen him hitting JR and choking him. So I turned around and started running towards him. And then I seen another guy with him, so I thought they was jumping him. So I started running towards it faster. Before I got up there, JR got loose.
I grew up as a racist person, but the family I'm with right now, they taught me different. They taught me it was wrong.
Well, I may have got a busted arm, but I figured that for every bad thing, 10 good things happen. So I figure in the next month, there should be 10 more new Baha'is.
Ponder and reflect. Is it thy wish to die upon thy bed, or to shed thy life blood on the dust? A martyr in my path. Just all my life I love this hidden word, because it's showing me why die in your sleep? Why die in my bed? Why go silently? Why not go with a bang? Why not everybody see, oh, there's Elisha's blood in that dust? That's what she died for. That was her purpose. And it says it will shed light. Even if nobody did know, even if nobody seen my blood, it's going to shed light on the world.
This is the old Illinois State House where Abraham Lincoln gave his House Divided speech, which foreshadowed the end of slavery in the United States.
This is also where Hand of the Cause of God, Lewis Gregory, spoke in 1922. Later, Lewis Gregory wrote to the fledgling community, encouraging them to concentrate their efforts on race unity.
Don't be at all discouraged by small numbers. If a few earnest souls meet and give the message even to the walls, it will have an effect. The influence is tremendous, whether souls know it or not.
43 years later, the first African-American believer moved into Springfield.
This was our first encounter with a black Baha'i in our community. And I think that the community failed him. We didn't know how to show this love.
Since that experience, Springfield has grown in unity and diversity. Jackie Hampton declared after meeting a Persian family that was shopping in the department store where she works.
I didn't know that these people were Baha'is. And we were talking about a certain design. And I said, well, I don't particularly care too much for that design. And she says, why? I said, because this particular person said, this designer said that she didn't make her designs for black people. And so they decided that they didn't want it either. And they embraced me and they touched me and the children were nice and everything and they were just smiling. And so the husband gave me his card. And on the back of his card, I can't remember what it said, but it was beautiful. It had all to do with unity of the different races coming together. And I was just dumbfounded.
The Baha'i family bought something and gave Jackie a little card with Baha'i teachings printed on the front and their address on the back.
And so I couldn't get rid of these people out of my mind. So I took the card, took the address on it, and sent them a card, a thank you card, for being nice, just for being nice to me. They didn't treat me different. There were people who had come in there, I'm telling you, don't even want me to touch them or don't want me to wait on them in this particular store that I work at. And they invited me to come to the Baha'i Center. And ever since I came, it was some place where I belong. At the first time I walked into this place, people were very nice. I even got invited to the ballet. I got invited to the ballet. 2 wonderful people invited me.
Springfield Baha'is find every opportunity to demonstrate through deeds and action their commitment to the most vital and challenging issue. Every Wednesday, Baha'is gather at a local soul food restaurant for lunch together. It's a standing date, and different friends attend each week, but they keep it a consistent and systematic effort.
Systematization, I think, has to do with the continual use of race unity as the focus of all of our plans, all of our thoughts.
Recently, the mayor's office invited the Baha'is to participate in a series of race unity discussions. These groups were called study circles.
Fortunately, there are Baha'is scattered in several of the circles, and we are able to input our Baha'i viewpoints to recurring discussions of problems.
About 200 people from various religious and civic organizations in Springfield participated in the study circles. They met in groups of 12 to get to know each other and formulate ideas which would promote race unity in their city and correct some of the injustices. At the end of 6 weeks, all of the circles gathered together at the state capitol building in the House of Representatives. Each group presented their conclusions, which were then passed on to the mayor of Springfield.
And we would be more than happy to show them the Baha'i community so that they could see that people of various races, cultures, classes can get along and live together as brothers and sisters.
Sister Mary Claire was the spokesperson for her study circle.
We're blessed to have a Baha'i group that is very active in the city, and that we should use the programs that they have initiated to bring, to move this work forward now in the city.
Sister Mary Claire was so enthusiastic about working with the Baha'is to bring race unity to Springfield that she developed a plan to work with the Baha'is on a permanent basis.
We definitely want to work with the Baha'is in this city and probably any place else that we come in contact, now that we have discovered how similar our goals are and how much you can help us.
The day after the study circles presented their recommendations, the Baha'is hosted a race unity rally, which was supported by the Catholic Sisters, as well as a number of other religions, state representatives, and speakers from the National Spiritual Assembly and Regional Baha'i Council of the Central States. This June, Springfield will make their event even bigger. Several newspaper and television reporters covered the weekend events, and one Baha'i sent his own video footage of the day to the local cable station, which aired it on several channels. Recently, a number of Baha'i individuals and activities around the country have gained media attention.
The Baha'i faith are hoping their message will be heard. We've been talking to people who stood up because of their sense of fairness and goodness and did the right thing. This is Linda Kaplan-Popoff, who has written a book called The Family Virtues Guide, which gives parents lots of ways to instill values in your children. Parents are always saying, you know, children don't come with a guidebook. This is one.
Maureen Ume is in the Newsplex tonight with a story of hope. Maureen?
Well, Brad, their numbers may not be huge in the upstate, but members of the Baha'i faith are hoping their message will be heard. It's one of unity and peace, and it's part of the basic Baha'i teaching. Today, the group held their annual Race Unity Day festivities at Cleveland Park in Greenville. People of all faiths and from all walks of life were invited to celebrate and embrace diversity. Baha'i members say the goal is to bring attention to the problem with race unity across the country and here in the upstate. They say the only way to do that is to bring people together so they can discover the similarities they share.
Many in Fort Wayne are promoting the 47th anniversary of Race Unity Day, a day to encourage brotherhood and harmony among all races. This year, dozens of Fort Wayne's children presented Calling All Colors, a performance about getting along with all of our neighbors.
Believe in the oneness of humanity, and that this is the pivotal teaching of our faith, the oneness of humanity. Everything else comes after that. The oneness of humanity is it for the Baha'i.
Well, tonight, children and adults from across the Grand Strand come together in Florence to celebrate racial unity. With nervous smiles and choreographed moves, the Conway Baha'i Children's Workshop dances to teach others about prejudice. The dancing is part of a 2-day racial unity celebration at the Florence Bahai Center. Some of the children, as well as some other Florence youth, will be featured tomorrow night in a video titled The Power of Race Unity.
While the NAACP is calling for a national day of mourning, one group right here at home is using the day to promote racial unity.
And with tensions on the rise, people of the Baha'i faith held their annual Racial Unity Day. And as 11 News reporter Mike Tobin shows us, song and dance were used to help bring people together.
The performers were black, white, Indian, and Mexican, but they worked together in a performance of African-American dance. A sign of unity in a world where even the young see racial diversity woven into the fabric of our society.
When will the fathers and the mothers and the leaders and the supporters and the citizens of Dallas declare that Dallas is a prejudice-free zone?
And the people here have recognized a problem. They're doing their part. Work, play, and celebrate together, regardless of the color of their skin. In Dallas, Mike Tobin, 11 News.
Keeping the community clean, right? Right. Whatever you say. You know the people like it, man, when they look out and they see us picking up the community.
On the surface, it's a neighborhood cleanup project. The GAP community organization, along with Do Something, has given us funds to help keep the neighborhood clean and support the project. But none of the people who participate in the project, the mentors, really see that as the focus or the goal. It's really more about giving to the kids something that every kid needs.
What they need are the tools to make it in life. The GAP project is a lot more than just picking up trash. Between the wealth of downtown and the urban decay just south of here lies the gap, or the void. The members of the project are working to see that these kids don't slip into one.
If we can see to it that they have these tools and they have the love and encouragement that they need to make it to some point in their life where they feel good about themselves, then we've succeeded.
Robin Robinson, Fox News, Chicago.
The GAP project meets at the Chicago Bahai Center every other Saturday. They're always looking for more kids as well as more volunteers.
As the national teaching campaign continues, the next wave of national television broadcasts is about to be launched.
The reason we're using the media as part of the national teaching plan is simply to enhance our ability to reach seeking souls. We live in a large country, 300 million people nearly, and word of mouth, as important as that is to growth and to our development as a community, nevertheless, we have to take advantage of technologies that exist.
According to Baha'i historian Robert Stockman, we have grown 50-fold in America since 1930, and recent surveys show that more than 70% of Baha'is speak of the faith to non-Baha'is at least once a week. The media campaign is one of the new systematic strategies of the 4-year plan, aimed at extending the range of proclamation dramatically to reach an entirely new audience of seekers.
What we've seen in the first 10 months of the campaign has been very exciting. We've had at least 12,000 people who have responded to a very limited series of broadcasts. This level of response, considering the limited investment, the limited number of times that we have shown it, is very extraordinary by any standard. We even have professional media advisors who frankly are stunned that we have received this kind of response based on what little we've done. These audiences of non-Baha'is with whom we're testing this product let us know how clearly and how effectively we're coming across with the message of Baha'u'llah. The real idea here is to impart enough information for those who are watching this and by and large hearing about the faith for the first time in their lives to want to know more. It's not necessarily to give them everything we can possibly give them about the Baha'i faith in one presentation. When we teach the Baha'i faith, we know that we have to be very sensitive to the needs and the condition of the person whom we're trying to teach the faith to. It's just as true when we're trying to communicate with masses of people as it is when we're communicating one-on-one with a single person.
We've learned not to use Baha'i jargon and to avoid introducing confusing terms. The idea is to find the common ground and then build up from there.
We take our products for television and we test them with audiences of non-Baha'is over and over and over, and then get feedback from them that tells us how clearly and how attractively we're communicating the message of the faith. We learn volumes about what we say that we think is clear versus what they think we're saying, and it helps us to refine the way in which we present the message of the faith. But the most gratifying times of all are when an individual says, yeah, what was that website again? I'm going to look that up. Or what was that phone number again? I'm going to give it a call and get some information.
In addition to the power of race unity, other videos are being tested. A program on gender equality and one on the power of prayer are nearing completion, and a Latino production featuring Spanish-speaking Baha'is is being filmed.
Recently, we also premiered 3 new commercials about the Baha'i Faith, 2 30-second commercials and 1 60-second commercial. The 60-second commercial was produced by Gary Balkin, and he did a magnificent job with it, and on Black Entertainment Television, where it aired in December, it received a wonderful response, and so we're very encouraged that these short formats will also be effective ways of generating interest in the faith.
When seekers call the 1-800-22-UNITE telephone line, they give their information, their name, their address, their telephone number, in order for a response to happen. We then enter their information into the database, and as a result, we send out a mailing of the Baha'i magazine, the Vision of Race Unity statement, and also a little brochure entitled The Light of Unity. After this is done, the call is forwarded to the community itself. Good afternoon. The following seeker call is from Springfield, Illinois. Thank you. Mailings are encouraged. The mailings should be invitations to local firesides, any invitations to local community functions, or just to say hello. This new seeker tracking program is very important and very exciting. It will allow us to track seekers around the country, especially during the new media initiative that is happening at the end of this spring. For those communities who have signed up for the 1-800-22-UNITE voicemail program, and for those communities who will be signing up for the program, please watch your mail for this envelope with the bright sticker on it, letting you know that there's very important information inside regarding your voicemail box. Inside the envelope, you will see this yellow card. This card, after applying for the voicemail program, will have your password on it and your very important voicemail box. This box number will allow you to retrieve seeker calls from your area. If your community is a local spiritual assembly or registered group and you wish to sign up for the 1-800-22-UNITE telephone voicemail program, you may email us at bahai800@usbnc.org.
Because our goal is to try to get everyone hooked up as quickly as possible before the new airings of our videos that are coming out in late spring, in a few weeks.
The most exciting results from the media initiative are coming from Baha'i communities that have combined and integrated their local teaching plans with the national plan. Houston, Texas designed their own media campaign, which was then reinforced with the national broadcasts.
The decision that we made was that our goal would be that every human being living in the greater Houston area, and that there's a population of 2.95 million adults, our goal was that everybody would at some point find out about the Baha'i faith, and that we would never ever have a circumstance where somebody would say, how come I have never heard about the Baha'i faith?
We had 12 radio stations going, so you could hear us on the radio, and we did the work with the web page. And we had over 800 or 900 hits on the web page. So, you know, really big time.
My feeling was really that the Baha'i faith is coming out of obscurity, was what I got from all of this, that a lot of people know about it, that when we were out teaching, so many people were like, yeah, we've heard of the Baha'i faith. I have a friend who's a Baha'i.
Young people have a vital role in teaching and passing out invitations to firesides, as well as encouraging people to watch the power of race unity on TV.
Well, after my friends saw all of the media that was going on in the community, they definitely wanted to know more about the Baha'i faith, because a lot of people knew that I was a Baha'i but hadn't really asked much about it, and this made people want to know more.
Houston Baha'is were ready to answer the telephone calls from seekers. They developed a protocol for answering the telephone and kept careful records to ensure that no seeker would be lost.
make people feel welcome into your Baha'i community, because ultimately they will be attracted by the power of the love of the Baha'i show for each other and the love that Baha'i show for them. And part of the thing is to answer the phone in a warm, loving, welcoming voice. We had to train people on what choices to offer these folks when they called in. The first choice we offered people was would they like to come to a fireside? If they were not willing to come to a fireside, the second option we offered them was, do you want somebody to come and visit you at your house? And then the third option we offered them was, do you want somebody to mail you some information that you can read? And almost invariably, 50% of the people who wanted to come to fireside, the other 50% wanted something mailed to them.
Sean Rayani built the local Baha'i website, which receives nearly 600 visits each month.
We also wanted to have calendars of events, ways people can contact fireside organizers so that they can attend firesides in the area. We have maps on the website where people can see which fireside is closest to their house so they can know where to go. We wanted to include the Power of Race Unity video, where what times people can watch it and on what channel, so that they can see different events we have on TV.
We had about 37 regular ongoing firesides. The Baha'i Center was open every night for people to come.
I was one of the volunteers who answered the phone during our media campaign, and what I really liked about it was that I'm a person who's not able to participate in activities because of my health. I can't attend regularly. And it's a very large community and there's really a lot of activities. So the fact that there was all I had to do was appear and wait and answer the phone and talk to people was a really great bounty for me.
And we developed a process of sending them second and third letters and welcoming people to the Baha'i faith. Consequently, we currently have in the greater Houston area, all of Baha'i firesides are populated with seekers, more seekers, frankly, than we can adequately handle and adequately manage. For the first time in the history of this community, we actually have people coming to us saying, tell me more about the Baha'i faith, instead of us knocking on doors. And the real other thing that has been so tremendously good for us is that we have had Baha'is who were for some reason inactive for very long lengths of time suddenly come out of the woodwork and say, I'm a Baha'i, I saw the webpage, I'm glad you're doing this.
Houston Baha'is organized local activities, including a large race unity picnic and more than 30 regularly scheduled firesides. They made a map of where every fireside was being held, so that callers could be informed of the most conveniently located firesides.
We can easily sit back and say, you know, well, gee, this is all going great, and what we forget is that this is just one piece of a larger puzzle, and that it really won't have the effect that it can have unless everyone in the community backs it up with the teaching. And this doesn't take the place of what our individual daily teachings should be. It's just a matter of following up with what the media does for us. Just like any pamphlet we may use, it's a tool that we use to reach people.
It's so much easier to teach when people are coming to you inquiring about the Baha'i faith than it is to go talk to people who have never heard about the Baha'i faith or knocking on people's doors. It is so much more dignified, the way of teaching through the media.